Silence didn't save me. It dared me. I felt that dare the night the city wouldn't shut up. Sirens stitching red across my window, neighbors arguing like broken radios, my own thoughts buzzing in swarms. I'd built a life out of noise. Early emails, late meetings, a calendar that clapped its hands every hour and told me to dance faster. When the panic attacks slipped in like stray dogs, I tried to drown them with podcasts and playlists and the TV murmuring news about stranger storms. My head became a crowded station where every train arrived at once and none of them knew where to go. Then I saw a hand-lettered sign outside a tiny bookshop, its glass fogged with breath and old paper. Empty your mind. Tonight, a free talk. The words felt like a dare too, like a door that needed only a gentle shoulder. Inside, the room smelled of tea and rainy coats. An old monk in a faded sweater took the low stool and smiled, as if we were not strangers but travelers who had been walking beside each other in silence for years. A quiet mind, he said, is not empty like a hollow shell. It is spacious like a sky. Sky, I thought, remembering the ceiling of my apartment, the flicker of streetlight shadows. I stayed after, lingering by the chipped teapot. The monk noticed the tiredness tucked beneath my eyes and invited me to a weekend retreat by the sea. No phones, he added. Only breath. The idea frightened me more than another all-nighter, which told me something honest and ugly. So I packed a small bag. A sweater, a notebook, and the brave part of me I usually keep at the back of the drawer. The bus engine hummed like a giant, unhurried cat. Outside the window, the city unspooled into fields, and the fields softened into dunes. I kept waiting for my head to spill more noise. Instead, the wind began to speak first. The first night at the retreat, silence pressed against me like an unfamiliar blanket. No phones, no music, no chatter. Only the shuffle of waves dragging across the sand outside the window and the crackle of the small fire in the hall. At dinner, nobody spoke. Wooden spoons tapped bowls, footsteps brushed against the floor, and every sound felt 10 times louder. First, I hated it. My thoughts, stripped of distractions, grew heavier. They told me everything I'd avoided. The fear that I was wasting my life, the loneliness I disguised with busyness, the anger that leaked out when no one was watching. I wanted to run, but the monk's words returned. A quiet mind is spacious like a sky. I realized I had always mistaken quiet for emptiness. In truth, silence wasn't a void. It was a mirror, and in that mirror, I saw the storm I had been carrying for years. The next morning, we were told to sit on the shore before sunrise. The air was sharp and wet with salt. The horizon was dark, except for a thin slice of gold peeling it open. The monk asked us to close our eyes and follow the tide of our breath. At first, my chest fought like a restless bird. My mind jumped from old mistakes to future fears. Then, slowly, something cracked inside me, like ice breaking on a river. Between breaths, I found small, shining moments where the noise disappeared. They lasted only seconds, but in those seconds, I felt a strange power. Calm, steady, unshaken. That day, while walking among the dunes, I noticed details I had never given myself time to see before. The way the wind carved patterns in the sand. The way seaweed clung stubbornly to the rocks. The cry of a gull echoing across the wide sky. All of it reminded me, the world does not need my rush, my panic, my endless noise. It only needs me to be present. And for the first time in years, I wondered, what if my mind could learn to stay as wide and open as this sky? On the third day, I broke. My legs hurt from sitting, my back ached, and the silence felt like a wall I couldn't climb. Thoughts came roaring back, louder than before. I replayed old failures, conversations where I should have spoken up but didn't, nights I worked until dawn and still felt worthless. My hands shook, and I almost stood up to leave the circle of meditators on the floor. The monk must have sensed the battle in me. He walked over, bent slightly, and whispered, "You are not your thoughts." Then he walked away, leaving me more frustrated than before. What did that even mean? Of course I was my thoughts, they were mine, weren't they? But later, as I sat by the sea, I tried something. Every time a thought came, "You're not good enough, you're wasting your life," I imagined it written on a cloud drifting across the sky. The sky didn't chase the cloud. It didn't argue. It just let it pass. And for a brief moment, I understood. My thoughts were weather. I was the sky. That evening, something shifted. We were asked to do a walking meditation along the beach. At first, it felt silly, placing one foot slowly before the other, breathing in rhythm with each step. But then I began to notice the sand sinking softly under my heels, the cool water kissing my ankles, the rhythm of the waves matching the rhythm of my lungs. My mind stopped shouting. For the first time, it whispered. In that whisper, I realized how much of my life I had missed while being trapped inside my head. I remembered dinners where I had been too busy scrolling to taste the food, walks where I had been lost in emails instead of sunsets, conversations where I had heard the words but not the person speaking them. That night, lying under a sky swollen with stars, I felt both small and infinite. The quiet mind wasn't about shutting life out, it was about letting it in. And I thought, maybe this is where real strength begins. By the fourth morning, something inside me had softened. I woke before the bell, slipping outside to watch the sea unwrap itself in silver light. The monk's words echoed again. "You are not your thoughts." I whispered them into the wind, testing their truth. Later that day, we were given an exercise. Sit with one question for an hour without seeking the answer. Mine was simple but sharp. What am I afraid of in the silence? First, I fidgeted, waiting for wisdom like waiting for a bus. But silence doesn't hurry. Slowly, the answer rose, not in words but in a feeling. I was afraid of meeting myself. Beneath the noise, beneath the rushing, there was a stranger I had avoided. A stranger who carried sadness, who craved approval, who never felt enough. Tears slipped down my cheeks without permission. No one moved to comfort me, and strangely, I didn't need them to. The silence held me. It didn't judge. It didn't demand. It only let me be. That afternoon, while walking along the dunes, I picked up a smooth stone. Its surface was warm from the sun, yet cool underneath. I held it in my palm and thought, this is my mind. Sometimes hot with storms, sometimes cool with peace, but always whole. For the first time, I didn't feel the need to fix myself. I only needed to notice. At dinner, I caught myself chewing more slowly, tasting the soup instead of swallowing it down like fuel. Across the table, others did the same. There was no need to fill the air with chatter, because the stillness itself felt like a conversation, one deeper than words. That night, as the waves hushed against the shore, I realized something powerful. The quiet mind is not an escape. It is a return to the present, a return to who I really am, a return to life itself. And for the first time in years, I felt strong. Not because I was controlling everything, but because I had finally stopped fighting. On the fifth day, the monk gave us what he called the challenge of stillness. We were to sit by ourselves for 3 hours with no books, no writing, no distractions, just our breath and the sea. At first, panic fluttered inside me like a trapped bird. 3 hours? Alone? With nothing? My mind rebelled, sprinting in circles. What if I get bored? What if I can't do it? What if everyone else is better at this than me? But then the minutes stretched, and something surprising happened. Boredom became a doorway. I began to notice small things. The way the wind braided through the grass, the slow crawl of a beetle over my shoe, the rhythm of my breath syncing with the distant crash of waves. My mind, instead of filling the space, began to empty into it. In that emptiness, I discovered a strange kind of freedom. I didn't have to solve anything. I didn't have to prove anything. I didn't even have to be anyone. The world was still turning without my noise, without my constant effort to control it. For once, life didn't feel like a race. It felt like a gift. When the bell finally rang, signaling the end of the practice, I almost didn't want to leave. The silence I had feared had turned into a friend. Walking back, I caught myself smiling for no reason, as if some secret had been whispered to me by the sky itself. That evening, the monk gathered us by the fire. He said softly, "The mind is powerful, but most of us let it drag us like a wild horse. When you learn to empty it, to hold stillness inside, the horse kneels. Then, instead of being carried by chaos, you can ride with grace." His words sank deep. For the first time in my life, I felt I could choose how to ride my mind, whether to be dragged or to sit steady. That night, I slept without dreams, without the usual storm of thoughts, just peace. By the 6th day, I noticed a change in the way I carried myself. My shoulders weren't hunched as if I were bracing for some invisible weight. My breath was slower, deeper, like I had finally remembered how to live inside my own body. Even my footsteps felt different, lighter, as though I was walking with the earth instead of stomping against it. That morning, the monk handed each of us a small candle. "This flame," he said, "is like your mind. Watch it carefully." We sat in the dim hall, eyes fixed on the tiny dancing lights. At first, mine flickered wildly whenever I shifted, whenever someone beside me coughed, whenever a draft sneaked in from the window. But when I stilled myself, my breath, even my body grounded, the flame steadied too. It was such a simple thing, yet it struck me like thunder. My mind had always been reacting to the winds of the world, yet all along it had the power to be steady. Later that day, we were allowed to speak for the first time in nearly a week. At first, voices came out awkward, as if words had grown rusty. But what surprised me was how different those words sounded now. People didn't rush to fill silences. They spoke slower, softer, as if tasting language for the first time. When I finally spoke, my own voice startled me. It was calm, certain, almost new. In the evening, I walked alone along the tide line. The sea had turned golden, the horizon bruised with purple. For years, I had chased strength in busyness, in success, in proving myself louder than others. But there, with the wind tugging at my sleeves and the quiet steady in my chest, I realized something. True strength was not about how much noise I could make. It was about how much silence I could hold without fear. The quiet mind was no longer just an idea, it was becoming my home. On the final morning of the retreat, I woke before dawn and walked to the shore one last time. The sea was still half asleep, waves rising and falling like a giant breathing. The sky was painted with soft streaks of pink and gold, as if the world itself was whispering goodbye. I sat on the damp sand, closed my eyes, and felt the silence settle inside me like an old friend returning home. That was when I realized the greatest lesson. The power of a quiet mind is not that it erases your struggles, but that it gives you space to face them without drowning. Life will always bring storms, failures, noise, and chaos. But with a mind that can empty itself, that can return to stillness, you are no longer tossed helplessly. You become the sailor holding the wheel. When it was time to leave, the monk walked with me to the bus. "Remember," he said, his eyes glimmering with a smile that felt older than the ocean. "Emptiness is not weakness, it is space. And in space, everything becomes possible." Back in the city, the noise returned. Horns blaring, screens glowing, people rushing. But something in me had shifted. The noise no longer swallowed me whole. I carried silence inside me like a hidden flame. In meetings, when panic tried to rise, I found the sky in my breath. In conversations, I listened instead of rehearsing replies. At night, instead of drowning in thoughts, I lay quietly, watching them drift past like clouds. And slowly, life began to feel different. Not lighter, not easier, but clearer. I wasn't chasing every noise anymore. I wasn't running from silence. I had discovered that the quiet mind is not empty. It is powerful, alive, infinite. And in that quiet, I finally found myself.